What's up, folks? Sean the Average Angler coming at you with another great video. And some of you probably won't think this is great because I'm going to tell you some things that maybe you don't want to hear. Quite honestly, I'm here to help you catch more fish. That's the point of the channel. I want to help you guys catch more fish. Whether you want to hear the things that might entail along the way, I don't know. My stance has changed on this quite a bit in the last, let's say, 4 or 5 years, okay? And it has nothing to do with minnow fishing. It can translate, but it doesn't have anything to do with minnow fishing. If you're new to the channel, you like this kind of content, hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate you joining the community where I try to bring you great content all the freaking time. It's always great in my mind. I don't know about you guys. Views, I guess, that lets me know what you think. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Anyway, today we're going to talk about something that's not so high on everybody's mind of exciting things to talk about. And I've got quite a few choices here. And we're going to talk about it. Hopefully you guys stick around because I think it's valuable information. I know it's valuable information, actually. First, the mountains are blue. You probably won't see it because I'll probably edit that out. All right, guys. So let's talk about, I don't want to really generalize it as fishing line, but I want to talk about light line fishing, sort of, kind of, maybe, sort of, and the benefits of doing it. Because it can make a difference in your catch rates, or maybe even just your catches, period, at times. Now, I drew into a really precarious situation at the Clear Lake Pro-Am, one bass, when I went up there. For those of you that don't know, because I really haven't talked about it, my boat motor broke down on day one. Prior to blast off, the starter went out, motor's fine, okay? It's fixed, everything's good now. But the starter went out, and so I had to fish on a trolling motor, or I could have went home. I didn't go home because I was there to fish for the week, so that's what I did. I fished on a trolling motor, and I still had a good time. It's not what I was hoping for, but we made the best out of what we had. What I found was in the areas that I ended up having to fishing because I was on a trolling motor, they were highly pressured areas. And I ended up flipping trees with 8 to 10 pound test. Now, these are trees. They're full trees, right? Branches, trunk, all that stuff. And while it sounds a little intimidating, we didn't have a problem getting any fish in the boat. No, we didn't weigh none of the giants that it took to be contenders. We weren't contenders. But to be honest, I really wouldn't have been any more fearful about it than I already was. Today's fishing lines are much different than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. My generation, we're not going to talk about how far back that goes, but it goes back a ways, okay? Fluorocarbon wasn't even in existence. Hybrids weren't in existence. It was mono. You fished with mono. Anyway, lines have changed a lot. We now have braid. Braid wasn't around, by the way. And then spinning rod braid wasn't around. So it's crazy the evolution we go through and how much better we are. So what I'm saying today definitely would not have applied back then. But we're past that. We're here now. We're going to talk about today and what's available to us, and we're going to go from there. Okay, a line that I really like a lot for leader material. I also have a big bulk spool. This 15 pound fluorocarbon. Okay, I use it for my jig rods. Berkeley 100% trilane fluorocarbon, and this is what I'm going to tell you. I've said this before. 0.011. So that's pretty close. For 10 pounds, this is 8.010. And I'm going to show you, and they got to measure it in a different measurement. All right, we got it on here. 0.27. So 0.27, this 10 pound FC Sniper, straight out of Japan. I think you can see it right over here. 0.29. Okay. What I like to see is if it's 10, 0.10. Okay. Anything more than that, I'm stronger than 10 pounds. I have a 20 here, but I can't even do it because, all right, let's look at the Yozuri Hybrid. 0.012, 10 pound. This 8 pound Berkeley fluorocarbon, 0.011. All right. And this is going to prove my point. This is 12 pound test. It says 10, but it says 12 based on the diameter. It says 8, this is 11 based on the diameter. Fishing line is fishing line in a lot of aspects. Meaning, look at the diameter of your line and translate it to the pound test. The Japanese already do this. We're just way behind. If you go look at Japanese fishing line on Japanese websites, and you're going to see everything's based on the diameter. You buy by diameter. It's not by pound test. That's a United States. And for some reason here, manufacturers like to do things like say it's 8 pound test when it's actually 11. And I can already tell you, because I've tested it, this 8 pound Berkeley 100% fluorocarbon breaks way beyond 8 pounds. The 20 pound FC Sniper breaks beyond that rating. The 10 pound breaks beyond the 10 pound rating. So forth and so on. And you're going to find this with most manufacturers until you get into things like maybe Seeger Red Label. Seeger Red Label tends to print things that are accurate with what you're buying. All right, so hopefully I clarified all that. Now what I want to say is 10 pound test is extremely strong. Okay, especially if it's paired to a spinning rod with braid to a leader, right? There's a lot of pulling and jerking and all that other kind of stuff you can do on a spinning rod that allows you to get away with more than what's normal. Now, one thing I do want to iterate here is that you're not going to yank a giant ass fish out of a tree that's gone down there and wrapped himself around already. If you allowed him to do that, well, you're probably screwed. But if you're in touch with your rig and you set the hook and give yourself a chance to fight and play a fish in the proper amount of time, there's a whole lot you can do with it, and you can pull some fish out of things that you may not have thought possible. I did a whole lot of it at Clear Lake. Okay, I threw 8 and 10 pound Berkeley trilene fluorocarbon 100%, and I was flipping trees on a spinning rod. I know it sounds funny, but in highly pressured waters with very spooky fish, it's what I had to do to get bit. And if you're not getting bit, you can't put the fish in the boat. Now, on my local lake, the majority of fish I'm catching are coming on 8 and 10 pound test, even on the bait caster. Okay, I had the jig rod last week. I was throwing 15 pound Berkeley big game. Now, this is what I'm going to say. I haven't noticed a difference between a hybrid copolymer, Berkeley big game. Some lines are thinner than others, this and that. The bottom line is when I get down into 10, it's a pretty thin diameter line. And 10 nowadays is pretty strong, especially if you're going to pick a Yozuri hybrid. Yozuri hybrid is a nylon fluorocarbon hybrid. It's got some stretch to it. So there's a lot of things in the line that gives us a little cushion. What you can't get as a cushion by fishing heavier line is more bites. You just get more bites with lighter line. It allows the bait to move more freely. You get different action. You get better feel. Let that sink in for a minute. You get better feel with lighter line. Your bait will sink to the bottom faster with lighter line. We have a more direct connection with lighter line. We can do a whole lot more with lighter line than you're giving yourself credit for, if you're one of those, okay? Some guys already know this, and a lot of guys up north fish with 5-pound test, okay? And that's about the threshold of where we want to go. For me, 6, it depends on the brand you're fishing. My brands, they sell 6. I'm not going below 6, but 6, I can lean on a fish pretty darn hard with a properly set drag. You can't offset the number of bites you're going to get between light line and heavier line, no matter what you use. I just talked with a friend of mine in Arizona earlier today, really good buddy of mine, and we were talking about that, and he said, I still haven't dipped under 10, and I'm like, dude, you got to cut that in half. You got to get down to 6. It's fishing line is a funny thing, and quite honestly, it's often not talked about. It's a very simple way to increase our bite ratio, but it's also a very simple way to get fish to the boat. And finding that happy median of where we're crossing that threshold is not really as difficult as we make it out to be. Now, you can throw 20-pound and go out there, and when you get bit, rip on them and just rip them to the boat. Have at it. But if I take my spinning rod out there and I throw braid fluorocarbon, the majority of the time, I'm going to get way more bites than you are, and I'm probably going to catch bigger fish than you are, because that bait is going to move in the water more natural. We've got to get bit before we have to worry about getting the fish to the boat. So here's my advice. Fish as light a line as you feel comfortable with, but if you're not getting bit, go lighter. All of these finesse baits that I've been showing you guys, right down to the Senko, they all perform better with lighter line. I don't care. Crankbaits, they move better with lighter line. You might not see a big difference between 8 and 10 pound, but if you compare 10 and 18 pound, huge difference. These little tiny increments can make a big difference in your hookup ratio. Now, it's up to you to land them. You need to set your drag right. You need to have a decent reel. Okay, this is a Shimano Vanford 3000. Okay, super light. It's like 6.3 ounces, something like that. Super light, great drag, works phenomenal. I can do whatever I want with this reel. The rod is there to help absorb, so bend. We don't have to get the fish into the boat in 3 seconds. That's, I think, where the misconception's lost. And I used to be that guy, okay? I used to own hardly any. Did I even own a spinning rod? Well, I did, because I trout. But I threw flipping sticks all the freaking time. If you want to catch more fish, lighten up your line, okay? Experiment with some different things. Find out which one works best for you. I love these Trilene 100% fluorocarbon spools. I think it's 110 yards, 100 meters. Look how small that box is, okay? It's great. It's a small spool. That fills a whole lot of leader. Super strong stuff, way stronger than I think most of us give it credit for. And look, these guys are out there on the Elite Series and BPT catching a ton of fish. The guys who are successful, most of them aren't throwing heavy line. Okay? Most of them are throwing this. If you're a Ben Milliken fan, he throws 8 all the time. I'm Sean, the Average Angler. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.